All right, this is the gaming experiences section, and I'm still kind of laughing about the whole accidental racism thing. It's so awesome. I wonder if that guy got fired. Like, how did that even happen?
Just in the new World of Warcraft, everybody looks more awesome.
What are you talking about? You log in, your character's been whitewashed. Oh my gosh, that
Um,
is hilarious. Anyway, yeah, but game experiences. So obviously we played Borderlands 2, that new expansion, Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep, and
how would
it's
you rate it?
man, if I hadn't played this game, I'd be sad. So I'm gonna have to rate it like an. Okay, so I love FPSs, and I like humorous games, and
And D&D?
I like the art style. So I'd rate it like a 10.
Yeah,
Honestly, it could not get any better, and if I hadn't played this, I would be devastated.
yeah. I'd probably rate it a 9. Like, it was really fun. I feel like it lost steam in the dwarf city. Like, we got lost and kind of like lost interest in it.
Oh yeah.
But overall, I had a blast. I want to continue playing it once we can all get together again and finish it.
Yeah, I actually woke up today and I was like, oh my gosh, I wonder if we can squeeze that in before we record because it's squeeze that in sometime in the 6 hours before we record. But yeah, because it's fun, and yeah, I did lose a little bit of steam, I guess, but it's just I was so like charmed the whole way through. I mean, it was made perfectly for us because it's funny. It's a first-person shooter, which I like, but it's a team game. It's artistic and it's about D&D and like snarky about D&D. So like that's
Yeah, and also it's like D&D where it's not like it captures the magic of a D&D game. Like, okay, so I have a small issue with the way D&D is sometimes portrayed in the media.
oh yeah,
Sometimes it does it well. Like did you ever watch Freaks and Geeks?
no,
There's an episode with James Franco where he's like the cool kid. Well, he's like the cool freak, and he ends up getting roped into a D&D game with his with the geeks, and he ends up playing Francisco the dwarf or something, or Fernando the dwarf or some kind of ridiculous name, and it ends up being a lot of fun. And they really capture that feeling of like this is kind of weird. We're all playing D&D in high school, but it's still kind of fun. Like it's a game. It's you could watch the episode and walk away thinking like, hey, that might be kind of a fun game to play. Or another a great example is Community, right? You've seen the D&D episode of Community.
yeah,
Like like it's goofy, but it's also like it's not making fun of D&D as a game. It's showing that it's a fun game to play. It's just kind of the jokes are more about the characters themselves being weird.
hmm
Um, or what's another example? The IT crowd, right, where they have to entertain the out-of-town clients and they play D&D with them.
yeah.
Like those are all examples where I could feel like I could watch that and be like, oh yeah, D&D. That's kind of the way the game is fun. Like they capture that. And some things like I watched like a Big Bang Theory episode where they play D&D, and I just like, oh lol, look at them, they're nerds. Like that's the joke is that they're nerds and they're playing D&D. And it's
Yeah.
less making it look fun. But I think this Borderlands 2 thing really makes D&D like it captures like it's we're a bunch of geeks, we're playing a kids game, we're rolling dice around the table, but it also captures that imagination element of like we're having fun, we're having an adventure.
Yeah, and it even explicitly talks about it, like, because that one character, what's his name, the Mordecai,
Yeah.
the sniper, he's like not getting into it, and she says, it's only fun if you actually get into it, and I was like, yes, exactly.
Yeah, and Brick jumps right into it, right? He's having fun no matter what. He's like, I punch it. I have fun. I punch the initiative. I want to be dibs on the siren. Her name is Brick, and she's the prettiest.
yeah, it's funny, and it's funny like in all the right places. Because the thing is, I mean, if you like choose own adventure books, which were wildly popular when I was a kid, you'll like D&D, which is like nobody really makes that point, and D&D isn't wildly popular. So I'm like, well, there's a disconnect there clearly that people don't
Right.
know what to expect when they play it, or they play it wrong, like, or not
I feel
wrong.
like even if you haven't played D&D and you're just curious about what it's like play this expansion and you'll get kind of an idea. Like it won't be obviously the same, but you'll kind of get the idea of like, yeah, there's somebody narrating the story. Sometimes they'll make mistakes and change the narration, or they'll make up a boss at the last minute, like Mr. Skelly Pants Bone Man dude.
Yeah, yeah. All right, Mr. Skelly Pants Bone Man, dude.
Rawr. Yeah,
Or
it's
you wipe the party.
it's fun. I'd highly recommend it, especially if you're a fan of Borderlands 2. This has that same style of humor, but it's just it's a more lighthearted, and it's kind of juxtaposed against like something tragic that happens in the main story. So it's this like bit of much needed comedy after a pretty dark point in the Borderlands 2 storyline.
That contrast effect, though.
That juxtaposition.
But yeah, very good. I love it. I think it's great. I can't wait to play with everyone. If anyone plays it again. So yeah. So also I played this game. So it was the free weekend. Remember for Steam? Did you take advantage of that?
I didn't. I kept playing my my Nintendo games.
Oh, you're a nerd.
I
You're a
am
stupid nerd
the worst.
face. No,
I had most of the games that were on free, so it was just there were a couple I didn't have, but I was like, meh. But it looks like you played one of them.
Yeah, I did. I played Don't Starve. That's have you seen that?
I've seen the art for it. It didn't really do much for me, so I didn't check it out. Is it good?
Yeah, it's actually fun. I mean, I don't expect it. It's not, or I don't think it'll have a lot of staying power, but it's fun. It's like it's a little quirky. It's not quirky enough where it's charming, like which they really should have kind of went with because the art style is quirky enough where they could have grabbed that angle, but it's not quirky enough where it's charming, where it's like funny in any sort of way. It's just an art style. But essentially, you gotta not starve. So the whole game is like you've got like your kind of insanity meter, you've got your hunger, and you've got your health. And like as your time goes on, you start growing a beard, and if you shave it, like that helps your sanity, or like picking flowers helps your sanity. But you have to balance that against like getting wood to build stuff, and then.
Do you get a volleyball that you can paint a face on?
No, that would help. Yeah, and you get a science machine where it's just like this stack of hay with like a log in the middle of it, and then like it's wrapped up to look kind of like a scarecrow, but with like a gold eye, and that's your science machine, and you need that to make science.
Okay, that's how science works.
Which is weird, yeah. That part's kind of quirky and fun, but
seems legit.
But yeah, the rest. I mean, it's hard. That game is hard. I've died probably 6 times already.
So would you say that I should spend the rest of the free weekend playing it? Is it worth checking out?
Yeah, I'd give it a shot. I don't know. It tickled a bone in me that I didn't know what. I planned on spending 5 minutes on it or 10 minutes just to give it a shot because I was like, I've been curious about this game. And I ended up playing for hours. I mean, across 2 days, I played it for hours. Like probably 10 hours by now because I spent the whole weekend playing games.
Wow.
So it's actually much more fun than I expected. So anyway, yeah, give it a shot. I mean, I honestly don't know what makes it so fun other than the fact that like I like survival games anyway. So I like survival everything, survival shows, survival training, everything.
Just surviving in general, I think you like.
I do like surviving as much as possible when I can.
Yeah, you're weird that way. You like to survive.
Yeah, when I don't survive, I get all cranky.
I know, it's the worst.
Yeah, and lastly, I played Heroes of the Storm, of course.
I saw you and JT streaming it. I was super jealous. So if any of our listeners work for Blizzard and they have a beta key and they would like us to cover Heroes of the Storm as an episode, well, one of the co-hosts of this podcast is not yet playing it.
Well, there's a reason why I call it a beta. It's in the alpha, David.
Oh, sorry, it's a technical alpha test.
Yep. Yeah. So it's all like friends and family right now, which is nice. It keeps out like most of the vitriolic douchebags.
Right, like me.
Like David keeps me out.
Keeps me out. I'm the worst.
I imagine that's going to be a problem. But I've still run into a couple. When people start losing, it's like anytime anything goes wrong, it's unpleasant. And so instead of pointing at yourself,
especially when you feel like it's out of your control.
Well, actually, that's helpful. It's helpful in the sense that like it alleviates any anxiety because you don't have to point the finger yourself. So like it's unpleasant losing. And
is that how people react? I'm the opposite. If I feel like it's out of my control, I get really mad because I'm like, what I could have done? But when it's my fault, I'm like, well now I can control this variable next time.
Well, no, I was just, gosh, I don't know. Actually, that's a good question.
Like
I don't
if
know.
I'm playing Smash Brothers, right, and a Starman just falls on the guy I'm fighting, I'm like, what the fuck? I get really pissed. But if it's just bouncing there and I could have gotten to it and I just was too slow, I'm like, well, next time I'll know how to do that.
Oh, because you got hope for the future. Yeah, that makes sense. No, I was just gonna say like the propensity of people to point at other people when the ship is sinking, when they're at the helm, and you're like, maybe, but also you're part of it, and like, so that happens.
My teammates are the worst.
These fucking people. I have a problem letting people think things that aren't true. I've always had that problem, and I'd really like to get over that someday. Actually, I say I would. I don't think I would like to get over it. I actually like, helping people not be wrong. Because whenever I get corrected on something, I get a little, butthurt. But then I always have this like little point of excitement where I'm like, I know something new. Like it's fun.
Right. Yeah. We talked about this for like half an hour, so definitely.
Yeah. Okay. So So, but on this, like in Heroes, we started losing, and I'm playing like crazy, and so is JT, and we're playing well. And I look at the thing, and I've got like the top in 4 categories. There's 4 categories. I got the top in 3, and someone's like, "Way to go!" Yeah, what is that playing? It doesn't matter. Like, way to go, Solo, or whoever character I was playing. Way to lose it for us. What are you doing fighting in the middle of the map? And I was like, well, I don't have any life, so if I would have went to that team fight, I would have instantly died, and that would be bad, because then I'd be off the map for 90 seconds, so sorry about that. It just wasn't a good move for me. And then it was like, well, no, whatever, you can stand in the back and shoot. And I'm like, thanks for telling me how to play my character, no thanks. And then, like, him and his buddy started teaming up on me, and I got this big old fight. Oh, man, it's just... I was like, dude, you guys are the last in every possible category, and not even by a little bit, by a lot. You're 1 in 12. You're 1 kill, 12 deaths. Please don't point at me when I'm 20.
I'm just glad they haven't let the douchebags in yet, because that would have been really bad.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's a couple slip through, and this rarely happens, but when it does, it just, I don't know. It makes me very upset.
Yeah.
I need to get over that. But anyway, so other than that, I had a lot of fun, and
I've been playing Smash Brothers. The game tracks like everything you do, so I checked it out a couple days ago. It's like, you've been playing for 19 hours, and I was like, well, okay, in a month, I guess that's not too excessive. And then
a day.
and then it was let's see, I just passed my 100 match marker on Smash, because what happens is my brother will call me at night. He'll have like 10 free minutes, and we'll play a couple quick games online. So we just passed our 100 marker there, and surprisingly, one of my most played characters is Samus, but I think that's because there was an achievement I was trying to unlock where you have to play Samus a certain number of times.
Oh, so you're all over the place then.
Yeah, I play exclusively random because I still haven't picked a main yet. It's so hard, Jeremiah. There's 49 characters, and I'm still the best with Pikachu just because of the background. Like I just beat the hardest mode, like the hardest mode, level 9 boss on Classic with Pikachu, and I can't do that with anyone else. So I'm still better playing Pikachu, but I don't know who to make as my main for this game yet. So I'm still just hopping around, playing random a lot. But yeah, I've got 430 trophies. Anyone that plays Smash Brothers, that'll give you an idea of how much time I put into it, because they drop trophies at you left and right.
Wow.
And yeah, I'm still having fun with it. I'm trying to unlock. Well, my goal right now is to beat the classic mode with all 49 characters. So I'm a little over halfway through with that little sub goal. But still having a lot of good times playing Hyrule Warriors on my Wii U as well. It's just, that game is maddeningly, like, you just lose track of time because you're just mindless killing, and then you're like, well, mission's over, let's do another one, and then by the time you realize what's happened, like, several hours have passed. It's nuts.
No, man, that's been happening with Heroes for me. It happened with Don't Starve too, actually. But what a happy place to be. There's actually a whole thing in psychology that looks at that called flow, by this researcher called Csikszentmihalyi.
Like time flow?
Which is a weird name. Yeah, like, I don't know what time flow is.
Like the flow of time? Like how fast time is going?
Yeah, well, actually, it's just called flow because it means, like, it's based off the colloquial term where you're like, oh, yeah, I was just flowing. I was in my groove. It's just a thing. And so they were like, oh, is that a real thing? So they looked it up and how people get into it. And it's basically just like blissful action where you do lose track of time. So that's a good sign.
Nice. So
having fun is essentially what that is.
Yeah, which is kind of why our episodes go so long.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so pretty much all I played then.
So speaking of episodes going along, we decided to go ahead and put recent news kind of was our in-depth analysis this time, to be short. We were going to talk about frontmen and leaderless movements and kind of tie that into Gamergate, but we'll probably talk about that next week a little bit when we talk about sidekicks.
Yeah. It was just such a big episode. I mean, this Gamergate thing is kind of everywhere. It was easy to get lost into it, so that was good. Yeah.
So we'll just go right into feedback then.
Yeah, so feedback it is. All right, welcome to the feedback section where we talk about the interactions we have with the community, and this one's kind of funny actually. I kind of know what somebody's going to say already because David got my attention about halfway through the week. Check this out.
Yeah, so we have a new email and we have a new iTunes review. So I'll go ahead and start with the email. It comes from Julia Fisher, and I believe she says, "Hello. First, thanks for the podcast. I'm in my second year of game design school, and I've been trying to approach game design in a way to require extrinsic learning for the games. I would like games to promote good behavior, in quotes, good behavior through playing the game. One example off the top of my head might be to promote the sanctity of life. This is a timely subject after that hatred video. She says, I can't cite the podcasts, but it was when you spoke of how violent video games don't create violent behavior in the players. Can the reverse be said? Can video games create other positive behaviors in people? If so, do you have any suggestions on how to promote positive behaviors in a game like Call of Duty, StarCraft, or Minecraft? I'm a huge Doctor Who and Star Trek fan and feel that the underlying themes of compassion and cooperation have played a role in my development. Well, at least I feel that they have. Thank you for doing what you do. I hope that I'm able to use the things I take away from the podcast for game development, especially the horrible game tactic of item hoarding from games like Diablo. Okay, so that's how she ends it.
Oh my gosh, yes, I do. I know all about promoting pro-sociality in video games.
This is kind of your thesis, right?
Yeah, this is like 1/4 of my thesis. I have to talk about video games and how they interact with pro-sociality and the causal link and that kind of thing, and then also the aggression thing, and then I have to talk about speculation about the other parts and how there's a lack of data. But
so this is pretty ideal, and also a game designer. That's cool. So you can actually, or he or she. I'm assuming she, because the name's Julia Fisher. But this person is going to be actually creating games to make the world a better place. So that's pretty awesome.
Man, yeah, okay. I should have pulled my sources. There's a lot. I mean, I could even open my thesis and just read from it for the first 15 pages. Okay, so yes, there are games that have been shown to promote pro-sociality. The thing is we understand context, but we also have this kind of volition, which means like motivation or willpower or intention. Yeah, intention and willpower kind of. We have that to contextualize things. So there's ways to do that. So you've got this. Oh man, how should I approach this? Jesus, I could do a whole episode on this. I won't. I'll do it really easy. Thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are all linked in kind of like a Triforce-looking triangle, right? So if you make someone feel a certain way through emotions, then you may be able to predict their behavior and their thoughts based on that. And so one of the things that you want to do is get them where they feel a certain way, like they have all the feels about another human being. So you maximize their feeling of empathy. And then by a strong narrative, or you also want immersion involved. There's a lot, man. There's so much I could say on this. Wow. It depends on what capabilities you have, like as far as like coding, so wow, there's a lot. Okay, so anyway, and then you also want things where the explicit goal is definitely to go ahead and do something that helps another person. So a cooperative, if they're playing with another person, that's good. If they're actually playing a game where they're playing a simulated person, that's also good, but less good. If that's what the research shows so far. There's not a ton on this though, so there's some room for speculation. And lastly, okay, so you want the feelings of that, and then you want the target of that thing, of those feelings, to be a person that you're helping out in a situation or who needs help, and then we see that reliably have a small effect on pro-social behavior. But unfortunately, there's not a strong effect that video games give on anything, but things that we do want to improve, like fitness, or what's some of the other ones? Fitness, pro-social behaviors, organizational tasks, those have all been shown to be affected by someone if they wanted to. So that's good.
So it's possible.
That's what you want to do. If you want, because that sounds really cool, I wouldn't mind, I could do an episode on it, or you could just write back, or I'll write some really long thing for you.
Yeah, maybe you can send her an email with more in-depth advice for this, so that you can. I kind of ambushed you. I don't think you read this email before just now, so when you have all your citations in order, you can send her an email and kind of really get in depth into it. What about suggestions on promoting positive behaviors in already existing games like StarCraft?
Oh yeah, okay. So what you want to do there is minimize frustration, right? Because frustration reliably increases aggression, or irritability, which increases aggression.
Which is what we were just talking about with Here's the Storm.
Yeah, and while aggression and pro-sociality aren't actually on the same continuum, so they're not like opposites on the same, magnet. Basically, it's not North and South Pole. They do affect each other heavily. So if you're irritated, you're less likely to be pro-social. But it's not that you can't be pro-social while being aggressive.
Right.
If that makes sense. So like a
They're
white
not
knight running in.
exclusive, but they tend to lower the chances of it happening.
Yeah, yeah. So what you want to do is you want to it's okay if the game involves aggression, that's fine. But you want to be able to helping an actual other person if you can. If you can't, do it a person that has a narrative and a point in being in the game, not just regular people. Because as it turns out, just saving people doesn't look like it has any effect on actual behavior. But if you save someone that you care about, well then that is maximizing that empathy variable. So you'll want to do that. Wait, what was the question? I'm getting lost in
Promoting positive behaviors in existing games like StarCraft.
existing games. Yes. So do cooperative and then have that person helping someone else get better. So not the one person learning because that can be frustrating, but instead the person who's helping someone else. So have them teaching noobs, that kind of thing. Or if you're talking about improving someone on the other side of the monitor, like your opponent, well you can model. This has never been done, so I'm not sure in video games. You could do social modeling theory, which is like basically just like do it yourself and then interact with them positively and try to de-escalate. But man, I don't know. The research doesn't show much, so I would have to speculate on that. But yeah, I think it's just.
I think the underlying question is really interesting because it's talking about the dark side and the light side of video games influencing people. Because we know they don't make you more violent, but can they influence you in positive directions? And it sounds like you're saying that they can.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. That's a whole fourth of my thesis talking about the positive effects. There's a ton. There's even rebuilding brain structures. There's affecting pro-social behaviors, organizational behaviors, like I said, getting people's lives back on task by maximizing their executive functioning skills. There's all kinds of stuff you can get from video games. But one of which, yeah, being pro-social. I'm actually very interested in that. I'm actually interested in it to see if it can be used as a treatment for anything, because people are willing to engage in video games readily, whereas they're not always willing to go to therapy. So.
I've noticed a trend with Doctor Who and Star Trek fans. There might be something to this playing a role in their development because they all tend to be really nice and caring people, and that's something that's like explicitly modeled in the both television shows throughout their episodes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, great. Let's leave it there for now, and maybe you can send Julia like an email, or maybe just send her your thesis or something. Just like give her some more information, more in depth.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'll send her a chunk of that because I don't even. It really depends. There's so many. It's like if you ask any specialist on anything and you're like, what kind of gas should I put in my car? Like a mechanic who knows cars really well would be like, well, it depends. What do you got? What are you working with?
A lot of variables.
Yeah, so same thing here. It really depends on the scope of your question. But I'm very well equipped and very excited to answer it. So that's cool. That's a cool question.
Yeah, great question. Thank you for that email. And anyone else that wants to send us any questions or comments or criticisms, as we said, we're open to those. Send them to thegametheorypodcast@gmail.com. It's one word, thegametheorypodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, it's very cool. Thanks for that email.
So we also got a new iTunes review. Maybe you should do the honors on this one.
That's why I was laughing, yeah. They got a hold of me. All right, I'm opening up iTunes here. I didn't have it ready.
This one is called Psyching Out Games. It's a 5-star review from Bilbo Baggins. It's awesome. So not Bilbo Baggins himself, but just someone who considers Bilbo Baggins to be awesome.
I must be a Lord of the Rings fan. That or just ironic.
Remember that song with George Takei?
Yeah.
Bilbo Baggins.
Only 3 feet tall.
Yeah. The Ballad of Bilbo.
Yeah, that's right. Have you seen the? Wait, is it that same song where it's Spock doing it?
Yeah, that's. Sorry, I said George Takei. I should have said Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah.
I'm not a Star Trek fan like Julia is.
Right, I'm looking this up. It's loading. Yeah, I didn't grow up with Star Trek either, but I'm actually kind of sad about it. I used to.
I've tried to get into it, but I think it's something you have to grow up with because I've tried to enter in through the original episode and through the Next Generation and through Deep Space Nine, and I've tried like watching various pilot episodes and various like best hits episodes, and I've seen a couple of the movies, and I just really can't get into it.
Yeah, me neither.
I really want to like it because I know it teaches a lot of really good values and good things.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, but trying to get into it as they're moving forward with J.J. Abrams at the helm. But anyway, yeah. So I opened it up. It says "Psyching Out Games." 5 stars by Bilbo Baggins is awesome. So I'm a 17-year-old kid and I love games. And I was actually looking for a podcast from the Game Theory YouTube channel, but this is even better. Oh, okay. Now a couple questions. 1, I want to go into psychology and games. Oh, awesome. Anything you recommend me doing before college? Yeah, get lab experience if you can, or work in a mental health field, which would be great because psychology is mixed in with clinical experience a lot. Unless you're going straight experimental and you know you want to be a faculty and only run experiments and publish the rest of your life, which I wouldn't make that decision right now. Even if you're leaning towards that, everybody does, and it's the worst. So
Keep your options open.
yeah, so I would do something like
Would you
that.
recommend like internships at labs, or
Yeah, if you're in
how would
high
you get
school.
lab experience in high school?
Well, there's a few different ways. There's a clinical side and experimental side. So the clinical side you can get in by, just find a mental health therapist anywhere and just see if you can just be their desk person. Because just being exposed to like what that's like and then the different kinds of problems and then people and dealing with people with mental health issues is going to be great. It's going to look great. Also, if you can write papers towards that, like maybe when you get those options to write whatever paper you want, that way you'll be well versed whenever you talk to a college. But really, in college is where you're going to get most of your experience. So,
and usually the psychology program's not like really hard to get into initially. It's getting into grad school that's harder, right?
yeah, psychology is in most universities it's number one or in the top five of most graduated. So everybody's interested in psychology, but it depends on what you want to do with it after that. Most people don't do anything with it statistically, but that doesn't. You can't do anything with a bachelor's degree in psychology. But anyway, so yeah, I would just say get real cool with the faculty wherever you go, like in the psych department in college, because you can actually get admitted to that same college for the graduate program if you've got a good relationship. It's just really, really competitive. So, but either way, you'll have references and people to talk to and talk about, and a lot of faculty know each other from different departments.
Right, they go to conferences together and such.
Yeah, but anyway, so definitely do that, but that wouldn't be before college, that would be during college. So you're on the right track, man. If you're interested, keep going. It's a really cool field, and it's pretty new as far as like actual people getting into it.
Yeah, as far as good psychology.
Right. Second, it says, too, if you guys do a general Nintendo episode, you should call a guy on YouTube, Chugga Conroy. Maybe you heard of him, maybe not.
I have not heard of him.
It looks familiar, the word, but I don't know. Anyway, he knows a ton of stuff about Nintendo. Maybe you should try to get him on. Actually, I'll write that down right now. Chugga Conroy. If he's a Nintendo fan, man, that's right up your alley, all right?
I do love me some Nintendo. Hello.
Accidental racism. All right, so it says, anyway, he knows a ton of stuff about Nintendo. Maybe you should try to get him on. Anyway, great show. I learned more from this than I ever have in school.
Oh, great.
That's something other people are looking at, like dissemination of information through like
non-conventional channels.
Yeah, and how much you can learn right now with open source information. It's incredible. But anyway, whatever.
Yeah. Well, and also I find a lot of students, they have more buy-in when it's not mandated, right? So like you'll learn more from a podcast than you will from your biology class, even if it's a biology podcast, because you're like, oh, this is fun and interesting, and there's no homework, and I don't have to be here, so I'm more invested. But also I think there's some archaic, I teach in a high school, and I think there are some teachers who have rather archaic ways of keeping their children's interests, like. My students are like, "Wow, Mr. Drake, this is so crazy. It's blowing my mind. How come all my classes aren't this way?" And I'm like, "I don't know. There's just people have different styles, and I think some are more engaging."
Yes. Yeah, it's true. And if you make it interactive, that'll be more helpful.
Right.
So yeah, here you go. You're interacting. Thanks, man. Thanks, Bilbo Baggins is awesome. It goes on to say, here it is. It goes on to say, Jeremiah is one of the smartest people I know, and David's really smart too.
Yay!
But a lot of the time, Jeremiah rules the podcast. Uh-oh. Only thing I have noticed that you might want to balance out. Oh, thanks for the feedback. Okay.
So, less Jeremiah is what I'm hearing.
That's what I'm hearing.
You shut your smart mouth, Jeremiah.
The smartest mouth. And it says, keep up the good work. P.S. Thanks for letting me in on the Facebook group. No problem. P.P.S. Do you guys know anything about Asperger's? Yes, I do. And in fact, Asperger's is no longer a thing. DSM-5 came out. Now it's autism spectrum disorder. So it's low-level autism. Yeah. So, yeah, it's Asperger's. It's rough. You can get therapy for it and learn. We treat a lot of Asperger's type people.
So, treatable. Is that what you're saying? Right. We have some audio issues, I think.
Oop, hello?
Hello? You there?
Oh, sorry, my mic cut out. Yeah, it says, do you guys know anything about Asperger's? I was just saying autism spectrum disorder. You can get social skills, training, and, yeah, therapy, that kind of thing. And we see a lot of those folks in our clinic, so, yeah.
Great.
Cool, man. Thanks for the review. And
thanks for the 5-star review. Those are super helpful for us. Climbing the iTunes ranks, as it were.
Yep. Yep.
And it's paying off. We're getting a lot of downloads lately. We're on an upswing, so it's great to see the support.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks a lot. We really appreciate that. But
So
pretty
if you
much.
want to be awesome like Bilbo Baggins is awesome, then leave us a review on iTunes or Stitcher or wherever you get your podcasts. You can leave them on YouTube if you want, but we don't really pay attention to that channel. It's just where we get our audio feed, so don't worry about it.
Yeah. But yeah, you can leave a review, I guess, anywhere. Yeah. So, and we'd appreciate it. We'll even check that. I guess we have a webpage. We can check that too. But anyway, well, cool. I think that pretty much wraps us up, right?
Yeah, we've had our Facebook group still bumping. So if you guys want to join that, it's Facebook group or facebook.com/group/Game Theory Podcast. We had somebody posted a link to that Emma Watson speech. We had somebody talk about, remember Andrea from The Walking Dead, how she's just the worst?
Yeah.
Well, she's awesome in real life. She saved 55 Colombian sex slaves, so her character is way worse than her actress.
Wow. I like her because she was in The Mist, so I'm already cool with her.
Yeah, The Mist, great movie. So yeah, great, lots of great discussions happening on the Facebook group, so feel free to join in.
Yep. And yeah, there's also, lastly, there's the ex-Bioshock developers are making like a 3D version of Oregon Trail, which is pretty funny.
Your commentary, 3D dysentery, nice.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, dysentery in 3D, this will be perfect. But yeah. So anyway, yeah, join up, be part of the conversation. That's most of the fun is interacting with everyone. So yeah, it'd be great.
Keep it interactive.
Yeah, but I guess that pretty much wraps us up. And next episode we'll be talking about what we intended to talk about today. So
yeah, we're talking about sidekicks and frontmen and the relationship they play together.
Yeah, it'll be great. So can't wait to see you guys then, or talk with you guys, hear from you guys, all of the above.
Talk at you guys.
Talk at you. Game Theory Podcast, where we're gonna talk at you.
We'll talk at you so hard.
All right, but that wraps us up for this week. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.